We are in the era where you can now build five-figure software systems without any technical background. The barrier to entry for creating any valuable business software has never been lower than it is right now. You can literally describe what you want to an AI tool and have it build working applications that solve real business problems. Problems that many companies will pay thousands of dollars to solve for. And this is an incredibly important skill to be developing because we are in this unique moment where the technology is advanced enough to handle the complex stuff, but most businesses and most business owners, they have no idea that this is even possible. There is a massive gap between what is technically feasible and what people think that they can actually build. And in this video, I am going to be showing you step by step, not only how you can build these systems, but also sell them. My name is Nick, and we have been doing this for nearly 2 years now. We've served more than 20 business owners and consistently make over 6 figures a year selling exactly these types of solutions. The crazy part is most of what we build takes days or weeks, not months. So in this video, I am going to be breaking down our exact process, how we identify what's to build, how we actually build it using AI tools, and how we turn these applications into consistent revenue streams. Now, let me explain what separates these impressive demos from actual business assets. So most people, they just skip this foundation and they wonder why their projects fall apart the moment that someone other than them tries to use it. Now, I learned this the hard way in our early projects where we would build something that worked perfectly for us, and then we hand it to a client and watch it just completely break because we did not understand these fundamentals. Now, the first thing that you need to understand is what separates apps that people use once from apps that they keep paying for monthly. And this is something that most tutorials completely skip, but it is the most important part if you're trying to build a business. Applications, these become valuable when they solve ongoing problems, not just one-time problems. So try to think about the software that you personally pay for. It's probably things like Notion for your organization, or maybe Spotify for music, or Netflix for entertainment. And these aren't tools that you use once and forget about. They integrate into your daily routine, and they become more valuable over time as you customize them and build habits around them. And in our client work, we have found that the most successful applications do one of 3 things really well. They save people significant time on repetitive tasks. They also help people make better decisions with data that they already have but cannot easily analyze, or they just facilitate ongoing relationships and communication between groups of people. When you focus on building applications around these principles instead of just cool features, you end up with something that people actually want to pay for long term. And this understanding completely changed how we approach every single project, where we now start every conversation with a client just by identifying which of these 3 value categories their problem really falls into. And here is the key that really transformed our business, where we now build complete end-to-end systems around our solutions to ultimately provide more value to our customers. So instead of just building a simple dashboard, we will instead build the dashboard plus the data collection system, plus the automated reporting, plus the notification system, or whatever else. And this approach has allowed us to turn what used to be $3,000 projects into $15,000 plus projects because we are solving the complete problem, not just one piece of it. Now, before we dive into any technical concepts or any next steps, I just want to mention that I will be sharing this entire step-by-step guide in my free community where you can get access to it. We now have over 11,000 members, and it's really just a great place to meet other AI enthusiasts and entrepreneurs, ask me questions directly, join competitions with rewards, and much, much more. So the link is down below in the description. We would love to have you in there. Okay, now that you understand what makes applications actually valuable, let me explain how you can actually build them without years of technical training. So traditional software development, this requires years of learning programming languages and database management, server configuration. It's honestly a nightmare for most people. And I myself spent weeks trying to learn Python and JavaScript before just realizing I was approaching this completely wrong. Software composing, this allows you to describe your vision in natural language while the AI just handles all the technical implementation. So you can think of it like this. It is the difference between building a house by hand, where you need to mix concrete from scratch and pour the foundation and build the walls, lay the plumbing, wire the electricity, versus just describing your dream home to expert contractors who handle all the construction details while you yourself are focusing on the design and the functionality. And this isn't just about speed. Although that is important, it's more so about democratization. So for the first time in human history, anyone with a clear vision and the right methodology can now build sophisticated applications that generate real value and real revenue without writing a single line of code. And what's even more bewildering is that most entrepreneurs, they do not even realize that this shift has happened. They're still thinking that they need to hire expensive developers or learn to code themselves when they could just instead be building and selling solutions right now. Now, given this new approach to building software, web applications are your best bet for creating scalable business assets. These web applications work on really any device with internet access, your phone, laptop, tablet, anything. They update instantly for all users without requiring any downloads or App Store approvals, which means that you are not at the mercy of Apple or Google's policies or waiting weeks for approval. More importantly, they form the foundation of successful subscription business models. And unlike any static websites that show identical contents to everybody, these web applications, they remember the users, they personalize the experiences, and they enable the complex interactions that people willingly pay for month after month. So think about it. We talked about it before, but like Netflix, Airbnb, Notion, the apps that you probably pay for every month are web applications. They provide ongoing value, they solve real problems, and they create the kind of recurring revenue that builds wealth over time. Now, from a practical standpoint, web applications are also much easier to test and iterate with real users. So you can simply launch something, get feedback, and just improve it continuously without going through App Store bureaucracy or forcing people to download updates. Where this flexibility, it has been crucial for our client projects where we can just instead deploy updates within hours of getting user feedback. So to build effective web applications using these AI tools, you need to understand how they are actually structured so that you can communicate your visions clearly. So every web application consists of two interconnected systems working together seamlessly. So let's just use a hospital analogy to make this crystal clear. So you can think of a web app like a modern hospital. So when a patient arrives, they are experiencing the front end, the reception area, and the patient rooms. The front end is like the comfortable waiting area, the digital check-in, kiosks, patient information, however you want to quantify it. Now the front end is going to be responsible for everything that the user sees and interacts with directly. So this includes the visual design, the layouts, the navigation menus and buttons, forms, where these users can input information, or charts and graphs that display data, and the overall user experience that determines whether people find your app intuitive or confusing. Now the back end, this is just like the hospital's medical laboratories, pharmacies, and administrative offices. So what happens behind the scenes? So you can think of patient records management, the test processing, medication preparation, basically all of the crucial work that patients do not see, but makes everything function properly. So overall, the backend is going to manage all the complex operations, including the data processing and the storage, the user authentication, the security, payment handling and transactions, database management and organization, and also automated workflows that just run continuously. But just like a hospital is useless without the patient records and medical supplies, our web apps, they run on data and needs somewhere to store and to manage that. And that is where these databases come in. So you can think of them like the hospital's medical record archives or supply inventory and patient history systems. It's really where all the important information is going to be stored and organized for quick access when it's actually needed. So here is how all of this works together. When you check in for an appointment, the receptionist, they generally enter your information. That is going to be the front end capturing your input. The receptionist, they send your file to the appropriate department. And that is the front end sending your request to the back end. In the lab, technicians, they check your medical history and they process your tests. That is the back end just querying the database and processing your request. The lab, they maybe prepare your results. That's going to be the back end just completing the work. Finally, the nurse is just going to bring your results back to you. And that is just the back end sending the response back to the front end. So this coordinated process from check-in to results mirrors exactly how web apps work. And the communication system between departments is just like the API carrying requests and responses between the front end and the back end. Now here's something that makes the back end development much simpler if you have zero technical expertise. You can just use N8N to handle all of the complex data processing without requiring any coding knowledge. So you can think of N8N like the digital hospital administrator that never sleeps. So it watches for things to happen like patient admissions, and then automatically coordinates a series of tasks like updating records, scheduling follow-ups, or sending notifications to any relevant departments. And the key difference between N8N and other automation tools is that N8N can handle complex multi-step processes that do involve multiple systems and departments all working together. And here's also what makes N8N so powerful for these non-technical people is that everything is visual. So instead of having to write code, you just drag and drop nodes. So you can think of these nodes as department stations. And you can connect them with lines to create the workflows, where each node just represents one action. A Gmail node is going to check for new patient emails. A filter node, this is just going to process appointment requests, or maybe a parse node extracts important patient information. A Supabase node just saves the data to your patient database, and a notification node just alerts the appropriate staff member. So to give you guys a quick example, here is how you would build a patient intake backend. So the email trigger, this is going to watch for new patient inquiries, and then the filter is going to identify appointment requests. The parser extracts the patient name, preferred date, and medical concerns. And then Supabase is going to save the information to your patient database. And finally, the system is just going to send confirmation emails and alerts the scheduling team. Now, that entire backend system replaces what would normally cost $10,000 to $50,000 in custom development. And you can build it in an afternoon using just simple visual drag and drop inside of N8N. So just to preface some things, while N8N does handle all the data processing behind the scenes, you still need a way for people to actually see and interact with that data. And this is where tools like Lovable become incredibly powerful for creating professional dashboards and interactive user interfaces using natural language descriptions. So for our patient management example, you would simply just tell Lovable what you want. So you could say, I need a dashboard showing today's appointments, patient check-in status, upcoming procedures with preparation instructions, and urgent alerts for patients requiring immediate attention. Lovable is then just going to create the entire visual interface based on your description. And the beauty of using Lovable is that it handles all the complex front-end development all automatically. So it can create responsive designs that work on phones, tablets, and even computers, and builds interactive displays that update in real time and implements secure access so that only authorized staff can view the patient data and really just connect seamlessly to your databases to pull in the information that N8N has been processing. So where the magic really happens is when these tools actually work together synchronously. So N8N continuously processes and organizes patient data in the background, while Lovable, well, this is going to display that information in intuitive professional interfaces that just make sense to the medical staff. So healthcare providers can see organized patient information and scheduling tools, but they have no idea that the entire system was built without writing a single line of code. And here's just something that I wish someone had told me early on, is that when you are explaining what you want to an AI tool, you need to be very specific about which part you're talking about. So including some clarity just really makes the difference between getting exactly what you want and getting something that just looks right but doesn't function properly. Now, everything is visual drag and drop with N8N and natural language descriptions with Lovable. So no coding is going to be required at all within this video or in the future if you're using this approach. Where this approach, it is just going to replace any expensive custom development that would normally require hiring a team of developers, but you can create and manage sophisticated full stack applications just yourself using visual workflows and natural language descriptions that are actually easier to understand than any written code. So just understanding the separation, it also helps you just think about your application more strategically, where you can build powerful backend automations that do save hours of manual work and then create front-end experiences that make that automation valuable and accessible to the users who will pay for the convenience and the organized information. Okay, now with the architecture clear, let's just talk about how your application remembers information, because this is going to determine whether you're building something valuable or just another pretty demo. So without proper data storage, your application would reset completely every time that someone refreshed their browser. So databases, these just provide the intelligent memory that transforms simple websites into valuable applications that these people will be paying for. So you could picture databases like well-organized filing systems where tables are drawers for different information types like users, products, and orders. And then rows, these are just the individual folders within each drawer. And the columns are the labeled tabs in each folder, like the name, email, and date created. So this organization, it enables personalized user experiences, progress tracking and history, complex relationships between different data types, and the persistent value that makes applications actually worth paying for. And one thing that we have learned from working with so many clients is that how you organize your data from the start, it determines everything else about your application. Where a poorly planned database structure will create problems that multiply as you scale, but a well thought out structure just makes adding new features pretty much almost effortless. So when you understand how data flows and gets stored, you can then build applications that actually retain value and provide ongoing benefits to these users rather than just looking impressive in a demo. Now, finally, here's how you avoid the reinventing the wheel and focus on creating unique value instead of rebuilding what already exists. And this is where APIs come in. So APIs just enable your applications to leverage sophisticated functionality built by other companies without recreating complex systems yourself. So instead of building payment processing from scratch, you can just connect to Stripe. And rather than creating mapping features, you can just integrate Google Maps. Instead of building AI capabilities, you can just connect to OpenAI. So these APIs, they work like professional concierges who coordinate with different service providers to fulfill your requests. And this enables comprehensive functionality while also being able to focus on your unique value creation rather than just rebuilding what already exists. And the key insight that you should remember here is that you do not need to reinvent the wheel. And honestly, you shouldn't try to. The most successful applications that we have built for clients are combinations of existing services, all orchestrated in unique ways to just solve specific problems. And that is when clients see that their custom applications can process payments as smoothly as Amazon and send emails as reliably as Gmail and analyze data as intelligently as the latest AI models. They are then understanding that they are getting enterprise level functionality without enterprise level costs. So understanding APIs, it just allows you to build incredibly powerful applications just by connecting the best in-class services. And when you can actually explain this to AI tools properly, they can handle all the technical integration for you. So before we move into the actual building process, let me just address the critical mistakes that I see people make repeatedly, because avoiding these will save you months of wasted effort. And first, most people, they start building before they validate that anyone actually wants what they are creating. So we have learned to spend at least a week just talking to potential users before we write a single prompt. And this conversation phase has prevented us from building several applications that would have been technically impressive, but commercially worthless. Second is that people underestimate the importance of user experience design. So an application, it can work perfectly from a technical standpoint, but it could just be completely unusable if the interface is confusing or just busy. We always instead just create simple mockups or wireframes first, even if it's just simple sketches on paper. And third, most people do not plan for scale from the beginning. They often just build something that works for 10 users, but will break at 100 users. So planning your database structure and choosing the right tools from the start, it will save you massive headaches, as you can imagine. And finally, this is probably the most important, is that people just don't think about the business model until after they have built everything out. And the most successful projects that we have worked on had clear monetization strategies from day one, which influenced every single design and feature decision that we had made in turn. So when you understand how you're going to make money from something, it will change everything about how you build it. Now, in this chapter is going to contain 2 essential steps to help you turn your app idea into professional development plans. So most people, they will complicate this step where they just spend too much time on the planning and the designing, but we will complete it in just 2 simple steps. So step 1 is to create detailed product requirements with AI to build a clear blueprint for your app. This is going to lead us into step 2, which is planning the UI and user experience design by drawing inspiration from professional sites and using modern animation and 3D tools for a polished and responsive interface. So with step 1, The foundation of every successful application is just a comprehensive product requirements document that is going to serve as your development blueprint. And this is where we will use an AI system that just functions like an experienced chief technology officer to analyze your concept systematically. So from here, you can just copy the prompt which I am providing in this document, and then you can paste it into ChatGPT or Claude, whatever LLM you're using, and then describe your idea. Like in my case, it is an invoice generator, and now it is going to ask you questions and just make sure to answer each one thoroughly. So it'll ask you about maybe 15 to 20 strategic questions. And from there, the LLM will give you an output of an MD file. As of now, you can just keep this aside. And now for step 2, which is just planning the UI design by drawing inspiration from professional sites. Like you can use Site Inspire, Godly, and so on. And for the 3D background integration, we will be using Spline. And why Spline is because this is just a user-friendly web-based 3D design tool that simplifies the creation of 3D objects and animations for us, particularly for web experiences. But now let's just go to the Site Inspire, and now we will just choose the best futuristic design and now take a screenshot of it, and then we are going to keep it aside. And from here, we are just going to be heading to the Spline website. Log in with your account if you haven't already, create an account, and go to the community section. And then once we are in there, in the community section, you can just select the best 3D background that you prefer. So in my case, I am going to be choosing the robot 3D background. And then here, I am going to be clicking on Remix. Then on top bar, I will just click on Export and now click on the Update URL. And after you actually copy the URL, we will just be pasting it into the new designing prompt. And that is it. So we have completed the planning and the designing part. So let's now go to chapter 3. So first thing is first, we are going to be going to lovable.dev, and you can create your account, click on new project, and then from here, you can actually enter the 3 things in the chat which we have created prior. So first, remember that MD file, we're just going to be copying that from the LLM, and then we are going to be pasting it into Lovable. And second, we just want to paste or input that screenshot, which is the designing inspiration. And third, we will be pasting the designing prompt. And from here, obviously just click enter. From there, Lovable is just going to start building the website. But now from here, we're just going to be going to clerk.com, and we will create an account or log in if you already have one. In Clerk, if you are not familiar, this is just a user management platform that offers tools for authentication and user management, including social sign-on, multi-factor authentication, and custom roles and permissions. So it really just helps developers easily add logins and sign-up features to our web app. But in any case, after logging into Clerk, we can just go ahead and click on Create Application, where you can now choose the sign-in options that you want in your applications. So you can select the Google, email, Apple, Facebook, and much more. So just select one of the options that you want and then click on Create Application Now. So just keep this aside as we did earlier, and we will be using it later on. But now, let's just go back and check whether Lovable has completed its building. And now you can see that you can connect the Supabase account to Lovable. We will be using Supabase as our database. And then click on Connect Supabase, which appears on Lovable. And then next, just make sure that you have already logged into your Supabase account. If not, please log into your account after that. And then you can click on Authorize Lovable and click on Create Project and just name the project whatever you would like, and also enter the database password. From here, you can just now click on Create New Project and then click Connect Project, and that's it. Supabase should now be connected. But as you can see, the Spline 3D background isn't added in the Hero section, but we can just easily fix that by going to Spline and copying the URL of our 3D background. And then back in the chat box, you can just type out, add this Spline background in the Hero section, and now just paste the Spline URL. And also telling Lovable something like, okay, can you also integrate Clerk? And then from here, we will go to Clerk and copy the Clerk API key and be pasting it into Lovable, and we will hit enter. So now you can see that it added the robot background in the hero section. And here we just got an error. So I'm just going to click on fix the error. So the lovable agent just automatically is going to fix itself for us. And now you can actually see our web app does not include any features. So this is where we're just going to tell Lovable to include the invoice generation features, then clicking on enter. From here, Lovable will just start creating the features. As you can see, it is now writing Supabase tables, and then it will actually make changes to the Supabase tables, which is what we are obviously looking for. And now you can see our web app will start working. So with Lovable, you can fix really any problem just by explaining your issue in natural language. So for example, if you see on the screen, we have an error when we click on the generate invoice button. So to simply fix this, we just take a screenshot of it and then we describe the problem, and then it will start fixing it. If we use the screenshot, Lovable will just easily understand the visual rather than a prompt, and it gives pretty in-depth context to your current situation, which is very helpful. So by screenshotting just like any part of the web app that you want, you can perform completely customized operations on this web app. Like you can remove or add any features, or you can fix really any issue just by describing it in the prompt section. But anyways, after doing all the fixes and the changes to the website, you can now see that we have created a fully functional invoice generator web app where you can download and manage your invoices all seamlessly. So next, what we are going to be doing is we will just see how to deploy the website, which we have just created. Okay, now before we move into this next section of just taking our applications live, let me just explain deployments a little bit. So deployments, these transform your apps from a private preview into a real business tool that anybody can access online. And right now, our invoice generator only works in the AI platform's preview window. But deployment, this is giving it a permanent web address that works 24/7. So this step right here is going to change everything, because you are no longer going to be dependent on the AI platform being online. Your app is instead becoming a legitimate business tool that freelancers can share with clients and agencies can use as their official invoicing system. So once this is actually deployed, you own your application's web presence and you can start building a real user base. And the business impact is pretty much immediate, where you can start serving actual customers and potentially charging for premium features. So we are going to be using Netlify just because it is going to handle all the technical complexity all automatically, and it costs nothing to get started. But now let's just see how to deploy the website using Netlify. So first up, what we are going to be doing is we're just going to go back to our project on Lovable. Once we are inside the project, we just want to deploy. And if you look to the right, you can actually click on connect to GitHub. Now, if you haven't already connected your GitHub accounts to Lovable, you will see an option to do that as well. So for me, I already have connected my GitHub, so I don't see that option anymore. But once your GitHub account is actually connected, the next step is just going to be to connect your project. From here, we can click on the option that is saying connect project, as obvious as it is. Now you will just be asked to select your GitHub organization if you haven't already selected whatever that may be. And from here, you can just wait a few seconds and Lovable will handle the rest automatically. So after it finishes, you will just get an option that lets you actually view your project directly on GitHub. So we can just click on that and you will now see that your project has now been published to GitHub. And the next part, this is just going to be actually deploying this app on Netlify. So let's actually go to netlify.com and let's log into our account. Once we are actually logged in, we will be looking for an option that says import from Git in the project section. Now, after we have clicked on this, you will be asked to choose a Git provider. So of course, we will just select GitHub. So from here, Netlify will ask you to authorize the connection between GitHub and Netlify, and you'll just have to click authorize, and that's pretty much it. So once that is done, once this is set up, you will now have a live invoice generator that is accessible worldwide with professional credibility through your custom domain. So SSL security automatically builds user trust with the green lock icon, while your development workflow just matches what major tech companies use on the daily. And then the version control, this just protects your code from accidental changes, and preview testing prevents issues from reaching your live site. And performance monitoring, this is going to track how users actually experience your application. And this is the same infrastructure setup that is used by million-dollar SaaS companies. Okay, for this next piece, this is where we are going to get into the meat of everything that we have been building towards. So in this chapter, I am going to walk you through the systematic approach to monetizing your AI-built applications and automation systems. And please just make sure that you follow this all the way through, because these strategies are going to be applicable whether you're building custom AI solutions for individual clients or developing SaaS products for broader markets. But now here is where the brutal truth that most people do not want to hear is that this is where 95% of builders completely fail. It's where they build first and they think about monetization later, where they create these impressive demos that nobody really wants to pay for. And they'll focus on features instead of the outcomes. And they also price based on their time instead of the value that they are delivering. And the result that they get from this is months of work with zero revenue to show for it. But here is what the successful 5% actually understand. It's that monetization isn't something that you bolt on at the end. As you remember I mentioned earlier, it is something that you design into your solution from day one. Next, before we dive into these specific strategies, you need to understand that there are two distinct paths to building a profitable AI business, and choosing the right one, it really depends on your situation and market understanding. So we have path one, and this is going to be the custom AI agency services path. And this is actually what I recommend for most people starting out, because it generates immediate revenue and doesn't really require product market fit validation, which will be necessary for the alternative. So this is where we are building custom solutions for individual clients based on their specific needs and their pain points. So you can think about it this way. Instead of hoping thousands of people want the same solution, you only need to find one business with a validated problem who is actually willing to pay you to solve it. So you can just simply turn a basic $3,000 automation into a comprehensive $10,000 plus system just by adding front-end dashboards and analytics and complete workflow optimization. And this is exactly what we do for our clients, where we start with the core automation need, and then we build the complete end-to-end systems all around that solution. So instead of just automating their email responses, we will literally build the automation plus a dashboard showing response metrics, plus maybe lead scoring, plus follow-up sequences. And the client gets something that's exponentially more valuable, and we can charge accordingly to it. Now, the alternative is path two, and this is the SaaS product development path. And this path, it requires deeper market research and product market fit validation, but it does offer greater scalability once you actually nail it and you achieve product market fit. So this is where we are building one solution that serves many customers with recurring monthly payments. So this SaaS route, it does require that you essentially know your market needs the solution right now, which is why product market research becomes absolutely critical before you invest months into building whatever it may be. So without validated demand, you are literally just gambling with your time and resources. So keep that in mind. Really quick, I just wanted to mention that if you are looking for help doing all of this and just a way to speed up your learning process of running your own AI automation agency, then we are taking on just 2 more people to work one-on-one directly with myself and my team, where we will literally handhold you to starting and growing your AI business and teaching you everything from A to Z, whether that's how to actually source and find clients, or how to build out everything and build relevant solutions for your audience, and much, much more. So we do guarantee you that you will close clients within 90 days. And if you do not, we offer a full refund. But just to preface, this isn't needed to be successful. It's just a way to help those who have been actually asking for this sort of thing and wants to learn everything that we have done and the best frameworks for success to build their business even faster. So again, we're very selective about who we work with. So that is why we only take on about 2 people per month. And the link to actually apply is down below in the description. But again, you do not need to pursue that or join that mentorship to be successful. It is not needed. So moving on, before you build anything, you need to validate that real pain points exist and people are willing to pay to solve for them. So this step, it is going to separate successful entrepreneurs from those who actually build solutions that nobody wants. So we have to start by identifying specific industries or business types where you can clearly observe inefficiencies. So this is where we are going to be looking for businesses spending hours on manual processes, or struggling with data organization, or missing opportunities just to slow response times. And these are gold mines for AI automation. So what you want to do from here is you want to conduct conversations with potential customers to understand their daily frustrations. So you have to ask questions like, what manual tasks eat up most of your time, or what processes actually cause the most errors or delays, or what would be worth $5,000 per month to automate completely for you, and how are you currently trying to solve these problems yourself. And the goal within this is to find validated pain points where these businesses are already spending money trying to solve the problem inefficiently. And if they're not currently investing time or money addressing the issue, they probably will not pay you to solve it either. But once you have validated real demand for this, you can then actually choose between building custom solutions for those individual clients or developing a SaaS product for the broader market. Next up, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the AI agency approach. And this approach, it focuses on building custom solutions for individual clients. And it is typically what we do for our clients because it does provide immediate value and it doesn't really require broad market validation. So briefly, here is how this actually works in practice. So a medical clinic, for example, spends 20 hours per week manually processing patient inquiries, scheduling appointments, and following up with no-shows. Instead of building a generic scheduling SaaS, you can just build them a complete custom system using N8N for the backend automation, and you can use Lovable for the front-end dashboards. The backend, this is going to automatically process the inquiries, qualify the patients, book the appointments, and send the reminders. And the front end, this is going to provide the staff with real-time analytics, just showing the appointment trends, revenue projections, and patient engagement metrics. So what started as a simple scheduling automation, it instead becomes a comprehensive business intelligence system, now worth $10,000 instead of $4,000. So to actually find clients for your agency, you need to look for markets and niches that are struggling with manual processes, as I mentioned earlier. Also, where they're struggling with repetitive tasks or inefficient workflows. These are going to be perfect candidates for custom AI solutions. So here you can use this custom framework to actually help you out a little bit. So you can say things like, what manual processes are eating up your time? How much is this costing you in lost productivity? Or how many leads do you think you're losing from slow follow-up? Or have you tried to solve this before? Or what would it be worth to eliminate this problem completely for you? From there, this is where we're going to be walking into pricing the services. So keep in mind that you never want to price your services strictly based on value delivered. So this, when it comes to pricing, you never want to price based on time. You always want to price based on value delivered. So if you do save a company $10,000 per month in labor costs, your $15,000 solution, it'll pay for itself in 6 weeks and continues generating value indefinitely. So briefly, here is my pricing framework that really works every single time for us. So first, we calculate the current cost of the problem, including the wasted time, the missed opportunities, and the inefficiencies. Second, we quantify our solution's value in terms of time saved, revenue increased, and the costs eliminated. Third, we are going to price at 10 to 20% of the annual value delivered, which is in turn going to create compelling returns on investment while ensuring that you are actually compensated appropriately. Now, on the other hand, if you do end up choosing the SaaS route after validating broad market demand, here is the systematic approach that you can use to convert prospects into paying customers. So we want to actually be thinking about our sales process as a funnel. So at the top, you attract many qualified prospects, and as you walk them through 5 specific steps, you filter out more people until you reach those who are actually qualified to buy and purchase your software. So for step 1, at the top of the funnel is going to be lead generation. So if you do not have people coming in as leads, you cannot walk them through any subsequent steps, obviously. So you can't do discovery calls, presentations, or close deals without lead generation first. Also, something to keep in mind is that for different applications, different channels work better. So for example, real estate applications might work better with cold calling brokerages. productivity applications can often succeed maybe with LinkedIn or business automation tools. These can leverage cold email effectively. So within cold email outreach, for example, this is going to work well because it's scalable and it's also very cost effective. So you can write up something pretty simple, like using this template, you could say, "Hi name, unnoticed, insert specific observation about their business. I help insert their industry. Companies achieve," just include whatever the specific outcome is, so that you can insert the bigger benefit that they're going to be getting from this. So for example, if we were to lay this out, "I recently helped similar company achieve specific result. Would you be interested in a 15-minute call to see if something similar might work for your business?" So what we're doing is we're just keeping it short, specific, and focused on their outcome, not your features. Now, for step 2, this is going to be qualifying the prospects. So as you can imagine, not everyone will be a fit to buy your solution. So this is where we're just going to be actually getting on the phone or going on LinkedIn and doing our prospecting and qualifying. So get on the phone and qualify them before selling anything at all. So you need to determine whether they have a pain point that you can actually solve for, and if that pain point is expensive enough that they will pay to solve it in turn. Whether they have a budget or not, you have to be asking when they would be willing to buy, who's the decision makers in your industry. So start with rapport building and ask permission to begin the business conversation and ask if you could be doing it for free. So just focus on understanding their specific situation rather than pitching your solution immediately. Next up, for step 3, is presentations and demonstrations. So once you do qualify the prospect, you just want to demonstrate how you solve their specific problem. So you only want to talk about the pain points that they had mentioned during qualification. So you can use Canva, or you can use Gamma or PowerPoint, Google Slides, just to walk through their pains and your solutions, and then show the actual system working. Also, Miro and Excalibur works really well from this. Now the key is addressing their specific problems, not just showcasing every single feature to them. So you can match their pain point to your solution that you have actually built. And that is how you can create compelling demonstrations. From there, we will move on to the next step, which is where instead of asking for an immediate purchase, you can just ask, like, is there anything else you would need to see before moving forward? And then things like, what exactly is the next step for you if we were to move forward? So you want to really just guide them through their buying process by scheduling meetings with all the decision makers and helping answer any questions throughout their evaluations. So of course, make any strategic recommendations that just smooth their internal approval process and make it as frictionless for them as possible. So I just wanted to emphasize that asking things like, what exactly is the next step for you to move forward? Or on a scale of 1 to 10, how willing would you be to move forward? That question will often allow them to translate why they may not want to move forward. And you can directly address that in rebuttal and say, okay, well, maybe I'll offer you this guarantee in return that you work with us. So that's how you can really conquer those objections. Now, lastly, this is the follow-up step if it is needed, because when deals do not close immediately, you should be setting some sort of expectations. Now, if the budget is delayed 6 months, maybe just schedule a specific follow-up call rather than contacting them unexpectedly later. And when you tell them ahead of time that you're going to be following up does become a little bit easier because they already can expect your contact, but this one isn't too big of a deal. Hopefully you will not have to be doing the follow-up, but it will be where a lot of money will be recouped, is following up with businesses. Now, the most successful approach, this is going to combine both agency services and SaaS development, giving you multiple revenue streams that do support each other. So custom services, these provide obviously high value projects ranging from $5,000 to $50,000 that fund your business and provide deep market insights. And these projects, they do teach you what businesses actually need and are willing to pay for. So I always recommend starting here. SaaS products, on the other hand, these generate recurring monthly revenue, as I have translated earlier, anywhere from $99 to $999 per month. And of course, these numbers vary, but these are built from patterns that you discover in the custom work that you are doing. So once you have solved the same problem for multiple clients, you can just productize that solution. And that is what we are doing at our company. But consulting, this is offering strategic advisory services anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 per month for ongoing client relationships, where you can actually help optimize their operations beyond just the initial automation. And the service projects, these are going to fund your SaaS development if that's what you're going down, while providing deep market understanding. And the SaaS, this will provide predictable recurring revenue once you actually achieve product market fit. Now, with all of this being said, you do want to track pretty much all the metrics religiously just to understand what's actually working. So this may seem obvious to you, but tracking monthly recurring revenue, this is just going to show your predictable income. Customer lifetime value, this will help you understand long-term profitability. Lead conversion rates by channel will let you optimize acquisition efforts. Sales cycle length helps you improve efficiency, user engagement, and activity. This will ensure your solutions provide ongoing value. And customer satisfaction scores, this helps prevent churn and identify improvement opportunities. So overall, these numbers, they tell the story of your business and they guide your decision-making process. So here is your long-term success strategy. Start with building your business as a valuable asset by scaling operations systematically. So you can start with virtual assistants for support, and then maybe later add marketing specialists for growth, and eventually bring on developers for advanced features. You can get business advisors if needed for any strategy as you grow. You can automate your internal processes by including onboarding sequences or customer success workflows or marketing automation systems and financial reporting. And the goal with all of this is to practice what you preach by automating your own business operations. From there, you will be able to develop strategic partnerships, all with complementary tools and affiliate and referral networks and industry associations and communities and speaking opportunities for thought leadership. So whether you choose the agency route for immediate revenue or the SaaS path for scalable growth, follow this framework systematically. So to start with thorough market research to actually validate real pain points that businesses are already spending money trying to solve. And from there, generate leads through any targeted outreach just focused on outcomes rather than focusing on features. So remember, you are selling the vacation, not the plane ticket. On top of that, you are going to qualify the prospects rigorously just to ensure that they have validated problems and sufficient pain and available budget and the decision-making authority. Next, you can just demonstrate value by focusing exclusively on their specific problems rather than showcasing all of your features. Next is to guide them through their buying process with strategic recommendations and scheduled decision maker meetings. And on top of this, just maintain some sort of strategic follow-up relationship for any long-term opportunities rather than just random check-ins. So the key insight that changes everything that I want you to take away from this video is that people do not buy features, they buy outcomes. So your AI-built applications and automation systems, they do have the power to transform businesses, but only when you can clearly articulate the value that you deliver and guide prospects through a professional process. Now, the opportunity, it's absolutely massive right now. I cannot explain it enough. Businesses, they desperately need the solutions that you can now build with AI tools, but they need someone who understands their problems and can deliver measurable results. So the question is not whether there is demand, it's whether you will position yourself to actually capture that demand effectively. So follow this systematic approach, track your metrics rigorously, and just keep improving your process. And that is how you build a sustainable and profitable business around your AI development skills. So again, start with market research, choose your path based on your situation and market validation, and just always remember, you're not selling the software. You're instead selling business transformations. So if you did stick around to the end, stop watching YouTube videos and get out there. Start closing deals and building systems that actually generate results. Talk to business owners. But of course, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.